Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies. And in today's episode, we're asking a tough question after last night's loss to the Marlins. Have the Philadelphia Phillies officially hit rock bottom for this season? We'll discuss it on today's episode.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You may know me from some of my other work in the sports talk space. 5 years over at 97.5 The Fanatic on Philly Sports Talk Radio. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for 3 years and been the host of Locked On Phillies for 3 seasons now. Appreciate you checking us out. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that lets us know that you like the content here on Locked On Phillies. It's a great way to help us out. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You can help yourself out with Prize Picks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB, and you can use code, it's all in lowercase, LockedOnMLB, for a first deposit match up to $100 with our friends over there at Prize Picks. Now, I'm a desperate man, folks. Last night felt like rock bottom to me for the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, we're going to discuss whether or not it actually was, but I think you can tell my opinion by what I'm wearing today. If you're listening in podcast form and not watching on the YouTube, but you've been a follower of my work or Locked On Phillies for a while here now and were with us last season, you know the shirt that I'm wearing right now. The Phillies Hawaiian shirt that I wore starting on June 4th last year and wore it all the way through the end of the season. Every day the Philadelphia Phillies won a baseball game, the next day I'm wearing the shirt. This was the victory shirt. And from the time that I put this shirt on, they played to a tune of 60-42. They were under 500 before that. Now, I'm not saying the shirt is magical. I'm also not saying it's not magical. It was a turning point of the season last year, whether that was the team figuring stuff out or me donning this Hawaiian shirt. I guess we'll never know. Or we could find out this year. But this was something that I did not think I had to do with this team. I thought this team was good enough. I did. That they were good enough to do it all by themselves, and you didn't need any mojo or momentum or all these special things that we do as fans or people who follow the team or cover the team and think might have some type of effect on the outcome of the game. Now, realistically, it comes down to the players. And the Philadelphia Phillies have not been playing good baseball. And that is why we're discussing whether or not last night was rock bottom in the 5-0 loss to the Marlins that saw Valente Beazo shut your offense entirely down. 4 hits allowed in 7 innings of work, no runs, 7 shutout innings by him against this Phillies. It was his 5th career start. How in the world do you go out there and you allow that guy to look like Cy Young? I absolutely don't get it. The Phillies get shut out by the Marlins. They don't create anything offensively. Taijuan Walker did not look great. Now, he didn't completely implode, I guess, but he didn't look sharp. It was his first start back. Normally, you'd give a guy leeway, but Taijuan Walker with this fan base he's a sore point. And that is not a great first performance for him to get the fans back on his side. He didn't look sharp. He couldn't spot fastballs, splitters, anything. He had a little bit of velocity. The splitter looked a little bit like it was moving, but had no idea where it was going. It was a miserable game all around. That was one of the more disappointing performances by the Philadelphia Phillies that I've seen all year. Maybe the most disappointing performance, because you come home after 3 losses straight to the Arizona Diamondbacks. You get an off day. You travel West Coast, East Coast. You have an easy schedule this week. 6 divisional games against teams under 500, and you face the Marlins, who are just absolutely – they have the second worst record in baseball, or they had the second worst record in baseball before they beat the Phillies. The only team worse is the historically bad White Sox. They sold everybody at the trade deadline. You go out there in a game that you really needed to build momentum, and you just absolutely sleepwalk through it. That's embarrassing by the Philadelphia Phillies, top to bottom. And I'm not hitting the panic button, but you can tell by the fact that I pulled this shirt out, and this is the first time I'm wearing it this season, that I feel like this is a last-ditch type of moment for the Philadelphia Phillies. Like this week, I told you, at the end of this week, if this doesn't go well, I'm ready to look at the panic button. I'm not there over one game, but man, was that an ugly game. And there were just so many parts of last night's performance that were discouraging in every way for the Philadelphia Phillies. Just listen to this. These are the numbers from the Philadelphia Phillies lineup in yesterday's game, in which they were shut out by a pitcher who had thrown 20 2/3 innings in his major league career. Schwarber 0 for 4, Turner 0 for 4, Harper 1 for 4, Bohm 0 for 3, Stott 0 for 4. Your first 5 spots in the lineup, you had 1 hit between 5 guys. So let's add it up. 4, 8, 12, 15, 19. They were combined 1 for 19, the top 5 in the order. Castellanos was 1 for 3. Romuto was 1 for 3. Rojas was 1 for 2. But ultimately, when the top of the order does not produce, you can't win baseball games. I don't care if you have a great lineup, a bad lineup, an in-between lineup. The top 5 guys go 1 for 19, you're going to lose 99.9% of those games. So that needs to pick up. The bullpen was actually pretty darn solid. I know Tanner Banks gave up a run and Carlos Estevez gave up a home run in the 9th, but they got put behind the 8 ball having to come up with a bullpen that was going to cover 5 innings of work because Taijuan Walker only gave you 4. It's just, I don't know what to do, man. I don't. We're going to talk about coming up next. Is there anything Rob Thomson can do to fix where this team is at right now? Last night is just like, the approach was terrible, right? That was the number one thing I looked at. You could say the defense. Trey Turner made a bad error. The Phillies made a couple of errors in last night's game. JT Realmuto, a bad throwing error that allowed a run to score. You can point to the defense, but the most disappointing thing to me about the Philadelphia Phillies game last night was the approach at the plate was just so undisciplined. You're seeing a pitcher that was having trouble spotting his breaking ball, did not throw a fastball harder than 92, 93 miles an hour. He wasn't gassing these guys up. He started throwing 87, 88 in the first inning. The guy did not have plus velocity. He did not have plus stuff. He's a no-name, and you made him look like a Cy Young candidate. And it's unbelievable that the Phillies did that. They had 17 fly ball outs. And it's just, that is trying to do too much to a T. And I understand it mentally. If you've played ball, you understand what being in one of those stretches is like as a hitter. And the whole team's in one of those stretches right now. But you see an elevated pitch that you can work with, and your eyes light up because you think, what I need to get out of this slump, what this team needs to build momentum, is me to hit this ball 500 feet. And that's not the way you get out of it. And even the greatest players in the world succumb to that thought process at times. You have to mentally fight through it. And I'm not going to say one game, oh, these guys stink, these players are terrible, Bryce Harper's not good at baseball. No, that's crazy to make generalizations about players with a lot of track record. But what I will say is the Phillies are not playing good baseball right now. And I thought that was a prime position for them to come out and say, we've got a terrible opponent we're playing. We need to take advantage of this at home and right this ship right now. And instead they said, nah, you guys can have a game on. We're not too worried about it. I don't want to question effort because I don't think it's effort. And even if you do watch some things with the Philadelphia Phillies and you're like, wow, he could have ran that ground ball out harder, or he could have laid out and tried to make that play. It's more a product of the way the team is playing. And sometimes when you overexert, when you're in these stretches, you start pressing, like I was just talking about the Phillies doing at the plate. So I'm not going to get on the guy's running out ground balls and stuff like that. That's not it. You're not winning or losing games based on hustle. You're losing games right now based on you not able to put together constant approaches at the plate, consistent up and down the lineup approaches. And it's killing this team. I know they're still going to make the playoffs. They're probably still going to win the division. They may still find a way to turn this all around because there's still a month and a half left of the regular season. We do have time, but people don't want to hear that right now, and I don't really want to be the one saying it. I'm bringing out this shirt as a last resort, a way to try and will the Phillies with something beyond my comprehension, because what's going on with the Philadelphia Phillies baseball team right now is beyond comprehension. Jason Stark does a great job covering the sport, as he always has. He's a Hall of Fame baseball writer. He currently writes for The Athletic. He has this weird and wild feature that he does on just baseball in general. It's not Phillies specific, but sometimes Phillies are included in it. Strange stats, things we've never seen before, things we can't believe are happening. That's just the nature of the game. Weird stuff happens all the time in baseball. So maybe it could be that you point this as weird thing, the Phillies will bounce out of it, like I've been doing for the past month or so. There comes a point where you have to say, maybe the weird thing is such a good baseball team just doesn't know what they're doing right now. It seems far-fetched if you know what you watched through the first 3 months of the season, but it's hard to find another explanation. And I'm doing everything I can to try and evaluate this team fairly and not panic, but I understand that the fan base is at a tipping point right now. A lot of people's hands are hovering over the panic button. Some people have already hit it. On the radio this morning, I saw people saying stuff like on our text line, fire Rob Thomson. Like move Kyle Schwarber out of the leadoff spot. It is crazy stuff. Bryce Harper's got to move down in the lineup. Bryce Harper's got to move up in the lineup. DFA Bryson Stott. Or option him to the minor leagues. Same thing with Brandon Marsh. We need to call Marchand up. I mean, this, that, and the other thing. Send Taijuan Walker to Siberia. I saw all of it. And I know changes need to happen, but we also need to be in a spot where we're not completely losing our minds. And I know that's a huge ask because the Phillies are making us lose our minds right now. I'm not going to pretend like I don't see it, and I'm still going to believe this team is as good as they were at the start of the season. That's the ceiling of this team still. That doesn't just go away. But if you can't reach that ceiling, it doesn't matter. And right now, the Philadelphia Phillies are not reaching that ceiling. And that's embarrassing for the fan base. It should be embarrassing for them, and they better get it right. But if you're Rob Thomson, who's the guy that a lot of people are putting this on, how do you get it right? What do you change? Is there anything you can change? We're going to talk about it coming up as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. First, let's talk about our friends over at Liquid IV, though. Man, this Phillies team might feel like they're giving you a headache right now. Or it could be that you're dehydrated. Listen, when you're taking in America's pastime, you don't want to forget to hydrate. With Liquid IV's popsicle firecracker flavor. It's a surefire summer hit. It's great if you're taking a water bottle to the ballpark or if you've just had a long night before and you're hanging out on the beach. Whatever the case may be, Liquid IV is great for getting you back to hydration. You just take the little packet, you open it up, you pour it in a bottle of water, a glass of water, stir it up, shake it up, and next thing you know, it's like, wow, I feel instantly better after drinking this. How do they do it? Well, it's powered by LIV Hydroscience, Liquid IV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. If you've ever had a long night, a long day, you get home or you wake up and you're dehydrated and you've tried a Liquid IV, you know how well these things work. Plus, you can get 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Go ahead and check them out. Make sure you're hydrated this summer. Also want to tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks. Once I find the graphic to put up, there it is. Prize Picks is the best. They're America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. They got over 5 million active members. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps where you compete against other users, no, it's just you against the numbers on Prize Picks. It's super easy. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. You might be saying, Connor, well, what are correct picks? Well, you pick your sport. Right now, baseball, the only one in regular season here in the major North American sports. But you say, more or less on the stats that Prize Picks gives you. For example, this is a fun little free money tip right here. Look at the Phillies. Take the under in everything. Take less in everything. They've been getting smoked. I know I sound defeatist, but that's a conversation for the actual episode. If you get it right, you can make a lot of money with Prize Picks. And plus, you download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get a first deposit match up to $100. It's quick. It's easy. You can set lineups in 60 seconds. Again, you put in code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks, you'll get a deposit match up to $100. So really, what are you waiting for? It's free money. Pick more or pick less with Prize Picks. It's that easy. All right, let's have this discussion here because this is an interesting one. There has to be, because I know I just talked about how the fan base and partially me even, I'm as steadfast as they come when I consume baseball and I look at the whole sample size of the regular season. I know when teams have time. I know when teams are running out of time. The Philadelphia Phillies are not running out of time, and they're not dead in the water. They're not. They have enough of a buffer in the standings, and they're still a talented enough team that they're going to be in the postseason. That's not a question. It's not. If you're worried about that, let me be the first to tell you. They're going to be a postseason baseball team. We will have Red October, but could it be a limp to the finish? That would really dampen the mood of that. But I am kind of losing it a little bit with the day-to-day of this team. I'm fighting the urge to be overly critical, but it's hard not to be at this point. And that's because the Phillies are not doing anything all that well. They're not pitching consistently well in the starting rotation. They're not hitting the ball consistently. They're not scoring runs consistently, so they're not stringing together hits. And the bullpen has not been consistently good enough. Now, there have been some guys that have been in all of those facets. Like Kyle Schwarber's been really good at the dish. Zach Wheeler's been really good on the mound. In the bullpen, Matt Strahm, Jeff Hoffman have still looked really, really solid. Carlos Estevez, who I know he gave up a home run last night, he's been good since the Phillies acquired him. Like, there are bright spots, but the bright spots are not making it through the storm clouds that are hanging over this baseball team right now. So a lot of people are pointing towards the manager. They're saying, well, Rob Thomson, he's showing no fire. He's making no changes. He's not doing this, that, and the other thing. I could point to the resume of Rob Thomson, and I have many times, because since taking over for Joe Girardi, Rob Thomson has done everything he can to make this baseball team great. And in the World Series, they got an opportunity, and in the NLCS, they got an opportunity. And the track record of this team says Rob Thomson equals good manager. It's not difficult math. But because people want to look at Rob Thomson, they want to ignore the resume, and they want to say it's his fault. He's not changing enough with this team right now, even though he hasn't picked up a bat all year that I'm aware of. He has not thrown a pitch all year. He has not played an inning in the field all year that I'm aware of. Rob Thomson, the manager of the baseball team, there's only so much he can do. And I'm not trying to defend him for the sake of like, oh, I love Topper. No, it's not about that. It's about what realistically we can expect with this roster and where the manager is. So let's look at it, right? Let's look at who the Philadelphia Phillies currently have on their 26-man roster. You have the bullpen. Okay, you can pick apart bullpen decisions all day. That's not really what people are arguing right now. People have in the past. That's a different discussion. We're going to set that one to the side. The rotation, it is what it is. It'll look better when Ranger Suarez is back. You're always going to put Taijuan Walker back in it. He didn't look good last night, but you signed him. He's going to be in the rotation if he's healthy. Then if you have to move him to the bullpen, well, that'll be a decision that'll be made relatively quickly, but not right as he comes off the injured list. So I don't have a problem with the starting rotation. And there's not really all that much you can do in either of those spots. You have your best guys. You need to put them in the right spot to succeed. But ultimately, if they go out there, they're the ones throwing the pitches. They're the ones that need to figure out how to get batters out. So can't put that on the manager. I just can't. And I don't think that Rob Thomson has done anything wrong when it comes to managing who's in the rotation and who's in the bullpen. He's kind of done what he's had to do all year with that. The lineup's interesting. Let's start with who's playing, and then we'll talk about where they're batting, because that's kind of where I think the changes could be made, is the batting order. But the lineup itself, what do you want him to do? Bryce Harper's going to play first base. There's nothing else you're going to do there. He is your first baseman. You'd be dumb to take him out of the lineup. Okay. Catcher, JT Realmuto's going to be your guy. People who want Marchand up over Stubbs, things to remember, Marchand only has one option that was used when he was sent down. So if he comes up, he's up for the rest of the year. Okay, he's looked really good in his chances up here compared to Garrett Stubbs, but what, you're going to bring him up and you're going to waste Stubbs' only option to send him down to say, okay, we're going to have a backup catcher that plays once a week that gives us a little bit more marginal. I understand it, but that's still a backup position. JT's your starting catcher. Second base. This is a spot where we talked about yesterday with Bryson Stott. What do you do? Now, you could play Edmundo Sosa at second base, and I'm not mad at them platooning. I would like Stott to get opportunities because I think the ceiling of this team is when he's good, but he's been struggling mightily. I'm not denying that. I want to give him the opportunity to work out of it, but this team needs to find a way to win, and you need to put the best 9 players on the field. And right now, Edmundo Sosa might be a better option. So on certain days, it'll be Edmundo Sosa. I'm fine with that. But if Edmundo Sosa is playing at second, who's playing shortstop? It's got to be Trey Turner. You don't have any remotely better option. I don't care what you think about his defense or his offense. He's too talented to not be out there. Trey Turner's going to be the guy at shortstop. Alec Boehm's playing third. You're not playing anyone else over there. Can't change that. I'm sorry. You don't have a better option at third base. All-star starter, all-star starter, all-star starter. That's Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper. You're going to ride with those guys. In the outfield, Nick Castellanos, you didn't sit him when he was struggling. You're not sitting him now. Center field right now, it's going to be Johan Rojas, pretty much set until Austin Hayes comes back. Hayes is hurt with a hamstring injury. You acquired him to make the outfield make sense. He went down. It's a bad time for him to be injured. And I don't think you're like Austin Hayes away from being saved, but it would help to have him, because with Austin Hayes not playing, you got to put Brandon Marsh in left field. Marsh has not been good at all either. Like him and Bryson Stott have been really, really bad in this bad stretch for the Phillies. But who are your other options in the outfield? You can either play Weston Wilson, who's a quad A player, been in AAA significantly longer than he's had any chance at major league level. And I think Weston Wilson's a nice player. I don't think he's like a guy that you should start over Brandon Marsh consistently. He's just not. And Cal Stevenson, who's up with this team, put a good swing on a ball last night. He's not a guy that's going to play over either Rojas or Marsh. The ceiling of those guys is not major league everyday player or major league any day player. Like those are quad A players. All due respect to them, you're not going to get a like huge spark from those guys. You'd be gambling to put it out there. It would be just like a flip of a coin. Rob Thomson doesn't do that. He trusts his guys. So I don't know, where do you want to see the changes? You can play Edmundo Sosa. That's about it. The best you can do if you're Rob Thomson, like maybe the only thing you can do is change the lineup, but I'm not touching 1 through 4. I'm keeping Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bohm in those spots because frankly, I don't know that you have a better situation. I'm not here to make changes just for change's sake. What I will say is Bryson Stott batted 5th last night. He cannot bat 5th tonight. He's got to bat 7th, 8th, 9th, along with Brandon Marsh, along with Johan Rojas. Move up Castellanos, move up JT. Make sure those guys are batting higher than Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh. They have been just abysmal. So the only changes I can make are a slight shift in the bottom half of the lineup, and that doesn't feel like a big change to me. And if that's all we're asking Rob Thomson to be able to do, how can we put this on him? Like, I know it's kind of tough to say, oh, well, it's not the manager's fault at all, but that's it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's only so much he can do. It's the whole team's fault, and it's unfair to make him wear this with a heavy star-laden lineup where you got to play those guys. But you get another opportunity tonight, and coming up as we wrap up today's episode, we're going to talk about Game 2 and how the Philadelphia Phillies can bounce back. And yes, this shirt means I'm feeling a certain type of way about tonight's game as well. We'll talk about it coming up next. First, though, I want to tell you about Ibotta. Ibotta is awesome because if you buy sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids this summer, a whole bunch of that essentials for the beach, you need Ibotta. You're paying a lot of money. You're getting none back or minimal back, or maybe you're getting points, but Ibotta does better than all of this. It's a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. You can earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. All of that great stuff you want to get for yourself or the kids this summer. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. Think how nice that would be to have an extra $250 and change in your pocket. And other apps, well, they'll give you that in points that don't amount to much. But with Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. It's super simple to do it. You just add the offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you've got that money. You can save on over 2,400 brands and over 1,000 retailers. It's time you joined the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. So right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB to start saving with our friends over at Ibotta. I also want to talk to you about eBay Motors because passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning championships. And it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, like superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. You might be into speed, power, style. Right now, the Phillies have none of that, but eBay Motors does. They have you covered with all of that with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You're always going to find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, I just want to thank you real quick for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. Please make sure you make your next listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, Sully, he's got some humor, he's got a whole bunch of knowledge, and he's got an overview of what's going on around baseball right now. Maybe it'll be good to hear something after this episode that's not exactly Philly-centric, because this team might be driving you mad. Well, Locked On MLB is going to get you primed up for playoff season right around the corner. Go ahead and check them out. They're available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, the good thing about baseball is that you have another opportunity basically every day. And the Phillies have, graciously, another opportunity tonight to play the Marlins, who are now 30 games even under 500. I swear if they lose. Tonight, you've got Tyler Phillips going to the mound against Edward Cabrera. Now, I know Tyler Phillips has had his fair share of struggles at points in the time in Major League Baseball that he's had, but he's 4-1 with a 4.83 ERA. Actually, outside of that blow up in Seattle, he's been pretty darn solid since he's come up. He's facing Edward Cabrera, who has thrown 55 and a third innings pitched this year, has a 5.2 ERA. He's got 68 strikeouts, so he does strike a lot of guys out, which has been the Phillies' lineup's kryptonite in a couple spots. He's given up 10 home runs. He's walked 31 and 55 and a third innings pitched. Like, you can be selective against him. A 1.43 whip, he's allowing more than a base runner an inning. The approach needs to be more conservative, take advantage of what you can. Another righty, which plays the Phillies' advantage. I mean, all the numbers are saying Phils win tonight. Minus 190 on the money line. Vegas said they win. 65.1% chance on the ESPN analytics predictor. ESPN says they win. Connor Thomas is wearing the victory shirt on Locked On Phillies. You know what that means? A CT guarantee is coming. I am guaranteeing a victory tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. It's going to happen. Last night I felt good. I said I wasn't going to guarantee it because you don't know with this team. I'm putting this shirt on. I believe in this. I believe in this team. I believe in their ability to win tonight's ball game. I don't know if it turns the season around, but they're winning tonight. They're not dropping both against the Marlins. This team has more pride than that, or at least I like to think they have more pride than that, and I'm staking my CT guarantee on that. But who's going to have to step up? Well, Bryce Harper, for one, is the leader on the field. Kyle Schwarber had some comments about how the team is frustrated, but they're not worried. Rob Thomson talked about trusting the back of the baseball card. Like, all these guys are saying the right things. But on the field, this team goes as Bryce Harper goes. And he hasn't been great lately. He's been better than he was in that terrible stretch, but he needs to get rolling. He's got an opportunity to go to work tonight against Edward Cabrera, a guy who he handles pretty well in his career. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, all right, it's time for Bryce Harper to go ahead and step up, get something done. You're looking at a situation where he needs to be the leader by example. But it's not just him. Kyle Schwarber's been your best hitter for like the past month. His numbers are really good in August. And he needs to set the tone at the top. But you also need either Brandon Marsh or Bryson Stott to give you something. I need something out of those guys. Bryson Stott put a couple swings on balls yesterday that didn't look awful, but he can't buy one right now. Brandon Marsh looks lost at the dish. And if they're both in the lineup, as I expect them to be, because like I said, the Phillies don't really have that many other options right now, you're going to need to get something from them to balance out the bottom part of this lineup. But those are the guys I'm looking at. Schwarber, Harper, and either Stott or Marsh to give you something to spark this team. I don't know, like anything else you get. Like Turner is still a good hitter. JT Realmuto is still a good hitter. Like Nick Castellanos is still a good hitter. Like these guys are. They're going to have ups and downs, but I know they're capable. Just talking about some of the righties who I didn't mention there. It's not like I think they're in for a terrible night between those guys, and one of them could be the ones who step up too. Alec Boehm as well. But I look at matchups. I look at star power. I look at the guys that I think really fire this team up when they do well. And those are the 1 and 3 hole hitters on this team. And that's why I'm not moving anything, because I think that top 3, Schwarber, Turner, Harper, is about as good as you get in the National League. And that's what you stick with until it works. And if it doesn't, well, you go, I don't know what in the world just happened or what we just watched. But, man, this team, if they don't do it tonight, I'm going to be real close to the panic button. I said end of the week, but that was based on the results of this week. If they lose the first 2 games out of 6 very winnable ones, what do you even want me to say, folks? I'm going mad. The fan base is going mad. Everybody's losing their minds. And I think it's the only thing that we can hold to, right? That old expression, it's always darkest before the dawn. Well, last night it was darkest. That was the toughest game to watch of the Phillies season for me. And now we look and see if truly there is a dawn on the other side, if there's a silver lining, and if this shirt still has some magic in it. It's funny. I'm telling you to be rational about the Phillies while also believing in a magic Hawaiian baseball shirt. That's where we're at right now. Who knows? Make any changes. Do what you got to do. The Phillies need to win tonight. I believe they're going to. And I believe we're talking about a win on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Phillies. If not, my goodness, I might just call out sick. Whatever. No, I'll do the episode tomorrow anyway because I love you guys. Thank you so much for checking out Locked On Phillies. Once again, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff that helps us out. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.